Good morning, beautiful people. It is Tuesday, July 21st, a day that would have been Robin Williams' 69th birthday. Happy birthday to Robin Williams. And there are a lot of Robin Williams life quotes that are currently floating around the internet. I posted one basically about eliminating toxic people from your life and how he would have rather been alone than been around people that made him hate himself. And I posted that quote, as a tribute to Robin Williams and his beautiful brain, beautiful mind, and beautiful life's work, shall we say. And as a tribute, and a lot of people on the internet, obviously, because we're in 2020, started attacking Robin Williams. I don't want to, if I want to get life advice, I'm not going to get it from a guy who ended up killing himself. It was like, well, I understand how you could think that, but if you just do one little Google search about what happened to Robin Williams' brain whenever he was later in his life, you could find that he had Lewy body dementia, which is not only just dementia and also signs of schizophrenia, but I believe also Alzheimer's. So that wasn't found out till afterwards. So I can understand where you say that, as if I don't want to find out how to be happy from somebody that was ultimately, at the end of the day, did something very sad and depressing. But if you look a little bit deeper, this is a mental health situation with Robin Williams and his beautiful brain, one that entertained millions and millions of people around the globe, actually became one that was in of itself not healthy and put him in a situation to obviously do something that was very depressing, not only for him, his family, but for his fans around the globe. And mental health is a great place to actually start today's show, Tuesday, July 21st, because you never know what's going on in somebody else's life. You have no idea. And that's another Robin Williams quote, I believe, is everybody's fighting a battle that you might just not know about. And when it comes to the sports world, there's been a guy who was drafted to the Pittsburgh Steelers from a small university. Had a chip on his shoulder, 6th-round draft pick, I believe, worked his way all the way up to be the top of the game, okay? Top of the game. Best wide receiver in the game. Work ethic that not a single person has ever questioned. Even the people that don't like him say this guy goes absolutely nuts in the weight room. He goes nuts on the practice field. And it showed on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whenever he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It showed whenever he played one game for the New England Patriots. And it showed that this guy who had this massive chip on his shoulder and incredible athleticism and want to work became the guy in his profession. Everybody respected Antonio Brown on the football field. I did. You know why? Because I had to dance to Antonio Brown, because not only whenever Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in football, he was also the best punt returner in football. And in the fourth quarter, down 400 points, we decided we had to punt to him on a 4th down. And for whatever reason it was, Mike Tomlin and that hole of an ass special teams coach over there had Antonio Brown returning punts in the fourth quarter up 20-some points. And maybe that was just to ruin my life specifically so that they could talk to me after the game and say, how'd you like that being down a bunch and we put Antonio Brown? But Antonio Brown, not only best wide receiver in the game, also best punt returner in the game. And I know that not only because I've seen him do it to a lot of people on television, not because I have tackled him down the sideline after breaking free on a punt, but also because he and I stared eye to eye with 53 1/3 yards wide, which is the size of a football field, by the way. Little stat of the day. Get on Jeopardy. Go ahead and answer that thing. What is the width of a football field, Alex? They actually showed, I think, the first ever Jeopardy last night on TV. The game has changed. Trebek is not, still a G. But he and I danced. He put his foot in the ground. Obviously, I do-si-do, slide, whiff. Don't even touch him. If it's two-hand tag, I wouldn't have got him. He scores a touchdown, gets on the post, obviously slides down. A moment that people will remember forever. But just 3-4 seconds before that, I was getting shook to death by this man. Then Antonio Brown's career took a little bit of a different turn. It started being very, very, very loud off the field. The conversations in the locker room about the Steelers and Antonio Brown and Pittsburgh not getting along, him and Ben Roethlisberger not getting along, him not getting treated the way that he thought he should have been treated. So he kind of leaves Pittsburgh, forces his way out of Pittsburgh, goes to Oakland. Then it is pretty apparent that he kind of forced himself out of Oakland. Then he goes to New England, and him and Tom Brady become the bestest of friends, posting photos in the house. He plays one game against the Miami Dolphins in his hometown. He gets 7 receptions and a touchdown, and Tom Brady literally didn't look at a single other player on the Patriots the entire time Antonio Brown was on the field. That's how highly Tom thinks of him. But after he gets released from the New England Patriots because terrible allegations pop up, He then goes in September 22nd, 2019. He announces his retirement from the game. He says, this is BS. Contracts don't matter anymore. What the NFL says they're going to pay you, it doesn't matter. I don't want to play this game. He retires for a first time and turns into a social media superstar, a rapper. He starts making rap albums, and a lot of other things start happening. A couple arrests happen, a couple more stories happen, but then he hits some sort of rock bottom, whether it was whenever he had to go to court and he left court and he sprinted in his cowboy boots, but then he was told that he had to take a mental health evaluation, and he started turning his life back around. And it was like, okay, Antonio Brown, the once most talented wide receiver and punt returner in the game, has hit rock bottom. He has made a lot of mistakes. He's brought a lot of drama to his life, but now he's coming back. He was starting to build himself back. He went and met with Deion Sanders and talked about life. He started giving money back to his community. He was trying to change the last year of reputation destroying that he did with a comeback trail. And everybody was pumped. I was pumped. I even made a guarantee a couple weeks ago that I guarantee Antonio Brown, because of how good he is at football, and be who you can afford to be is a motto in the NFL for a reason. If Antonio Brown was able to continue to turn his life around, I guaranteed that he would be back in the NFL. Well, as of yesterday, it turns out that was wrong. Yesterday, he started tweeting that he is going to retire, basically. He didn't put the words out that I am retiring, but at 2:17 p.m., and the timing of these tweets is a massive deal because this is going to lead into another subject altogether as well, which also is potentially a mental health conversation as well. We don't know what Antonio Brown's going through. We have no idea what's happening behind closed doors. But at 2:17, he says, is it time to walk away? I done checked everything in the game, question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point. So not only is it a question, but it's also a statement. Hey, I done checked everything in this game. Okay, I don't need anything else. Then at 2:22, at this point, the risk is greater than the reward. Thank you, everyone who've been part of this journey. I sincerely thank you for everything. Life goes on, 84. That's it, 5 minutes later. So now the internet's a buzz. Antonio Brown's retiring. Is he retiring? What are these tweets about? These are kind of cryptic, but he is saying that he's walking away. The internet's alive. Oh my God, Antonio Brown retiring again for the second time with still not being back in the NFL in between those two times. Then at his next tweet comes in at 2:29, 7 minutes later. I came, I saw, I conquered, mission complete, call God. Boop, go ahead and give him a phone call. Everything's accomplished. So then the world is upside down. Antonio Brown has officially retired again. Just when you thought his life was coming back and football was going to be back in his life, and he was reaching out to people and trying to right some wrongs. And Jeremy Fowler of ESPN alleged that a settlement was potentially nearly reached yet again with one of his accusers, but he backed out of it. So who knows what's going on with Antonio Brown? Everybody's alive. He didn't officially say he retired, but he did say just a couple minutes later, if we can go to that tweet, Himothy, 2:32. Okay, Himothy. All right, Himothy. Is that God, right? Is him, because him is God, right? But then you mix it with Timothy. Is Himothy God? Not 100% sure, but you need to call him. And then just a couple minutes later, AB, Himothy, 252. Here's a link to the album that I am putting out. Here is a promotion. In this Antonio Brown move right here, and a lot of people are going to say this is more Antonio Brown dramatics. This is literally Kris Jenner's playbook, maybe page 1 on how to bring press and eyeballs to a project that you are releasing. Let's get a little drama. You're retiring. You get the eyeballs. And once you have the eyeballs on you, boom, you promote whatever's happening. Everybody knows this is a classic Kris Jenner. This is literally Kris Jenner playbook, page 1. Hey, Keeping Up with the Kardashians is in what, season 70 right now? Okay?
Something like that.
What other reality show has lasted that long? I'll tell you, none. You know why? Because people get sick of it. People get bored of it. Kris Jenner, though, has managed to make Keeping Up with the Kardashians literally a worldwide phenomenon. Keeping Up with the Kardashians changed the way girls wanted to look. Keeping Up with the Kardashians changed our world completely. And you know why Keeping Up with the Kardashians continues to thrive? Because right before a season is about to happen, you might not even know that Keeping Up with the Kardashians is still happening, but as soon as you hear something is popping off with the Jenner family or the Kardashian family, you immediately go, oh, we've been here before. And then you scroll down, it's like, new season, Keeping Up with the Kardashians this weekend. It's like, oh, Kris Jenner did it again. Khloe did what? O.J. Simpson, who? Kourtney and Kim got into a fight. Rob selling socks? What happened?
What?
There's always some sort of big move. It's always some incredibly dramatic thing. And Kris Jenner has to round up the troops and go, hey, listen, these next couple of weeks are going to be tough. They're going to be saying a lot about, especially this season, Khloe. We went after you a little bit. They're going to be saying a lot about you. But everybody needs to know, in about 2-3 weeks from now, nobody's going to remember this, and we're going to have all the money yet again. All the money. Antonio Brown, we hope he's mentally healthy, and this is just a PR ploy to obviously bring attention to Timothy. But he was not the only rapper yesterday that did the Kris Jenner playbook, deployed the page 1 of the Kris Jenner playbook, which is bring drama, bring eyes, then let them know exactly what you're selling. And obviously, we hope that this isn't a mental health issue. We hope Kanye's okay. We hope Antonio Brown's okay. But this feels as if this is a Kris Jenner move. And this is literally straight out of the playbook. He says, come and get me. This is the Exodus, like Pusha said. Okay? On God. She is Cap. I don't know who that is. Sounds like they are not a fan favorite of Kanye West, though. Kim tried to bring a doctor to lock me up with a doctor. Okay, interesting. You would think cops would come to do that with the doctor, but if there's a hard-ass cop that's locking up people to lock up with other doctors, I can respect that. If I get locked up like Mandela, y'all will know why, he says. Okay, so now the internet at this point is over. Kanye has just taken over the internet last night. As soon as Kanye gets on a tweet rant, the entire internet stops, and they go straight to the birthday party presidential candidate, Kanye, and they say, what's popping off Kanye? So then go to his next group of tweets. So then he starts tweeting, Chris, don't play with me. You in that Kanye, which I don't know, are not, what's that?
His new single, he references, they want me to be Kanye, not Kanye.
Okay, so Chris, you play with me. You and that Kanye are not allowed around my children. Y'all tried to lock me up. So now the drama's building up even more, right? Mm-hmm. So now Kanye is saying his mother-in-law not allowed to be around his grandkids. Okay, this is classic Kris Jenner move right here, right? Then everybody knows the movie Get Out is about me. Okay, Get Out's like, we didn't expect this, but we appreciate a little shout out. Hope Kanye's okay. Obviously, this is all with the thought that Kanye is doing this strictly for promotion for the album. I put my life on the line for my children. That's North's mother would never sell her sex tape. Okay, I put my life on my God that North's mom would never photograph her doing Playboy, and that's on God. I'm at the ranch. Come and get me. Okay, so now he's saying, hey, I'm at the ranch, Chris. If you want that hard-o doctor to come get me and put me in a room with another doctor, come on and get me. This feels as if, though, this is potentially similar to what happens with Keeping Up with the Kardashians every single time a season comes. Go to the next batch, Foxy. So then his next group of tweets is, she is Cap, Drake he mentioned in there. Then if you look to after all of this, Kanye gained a few 100,000 followers. He tweets about Chris and Kim again. Then he says, Anna Wintour always showed me love, but when I told her I was going to Gap, she started calling me to kiss my ass. Then he says, I love my wife, my family. My family must live next to me. It's not up to E and NBC anymore. Righteous indignation, which if you look that up, it's about somebody who's going through something and on the other side trying. And then West children will never do Playboy. And then NBC locked up Bill Cosby. The internet's upside down at this point. It's like, what the hell is going on? Kim was trying to fly to Wyoming with a doctor to lock me up, like movie Get Out, because I cried about saving my daughter's life. Literally the entire internet yesterday. It does not matter how old you are, where you're from, who you are. As soon as you saw that Kanye was trending, you go, boom, excuse me, what the hell is he doing? Especially after the weekend he had in South Carolina. Then ultimately, after all of that happens, you go straight to what this whole thing was about, which is Donda coming this Friday. So, did you know Donda was coming this Friday?
Nope.
Me neither. Did the world know that Donda was coming this Friday? Nope. You know how they found out? Because he went on a, 15, 20-minute Twitter or 15, 20 tweet rant about his entire back life happening behind closed doors, maybe. And a lot of people are like, well, he's obviously having a mental health issue. He's going through some things. And for that, just like we let off the show with Robin Williams, you have no idea what anybody's going through behind their thing. But it feels like whenever you are in the Kris Jenner world, anytime something is coming up that's rather large, they go to the same playbook. And it's drama, drama, drama. Oh my God, world's ending. By the way, new season of Keeping Up with the Kardashian. By the way, new makeup line from Kylie for $1 billion. By the way, new rest in peace, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, new person. Yeah. Now, I mean, there was just
new socks.
It's just there was just a never-ending supply. And Antonio Brown and Kanye yesterday did the Kris Jenner playbook of drop drama, bring up the eyes, let them know what you're selling. Himothy and Donda both coming out soon. And I think that is potentially what that all was. If it obviously wasn't a mental breakdown, which none of us hope was happening to either of them. We hope they both get back to good, but this feels as if this was strictly to let people know that there's some potential bangers on the way. And you just got to get through all those tweets, and you got to enjoy, not enjoy, but you got to go through a time of the entire world talking about your personal life just to potentially move some product. And I'll tell you what, it's worked for Kris Jenner and Himothy. I didn't know there's 20 songs on that album. I checked out the UnitedMasters.com. I assume everybody did. I didn't know that Donda has 20. I mean, there's a lot of things I learned through all of this, and this feels like we could potentially been trolled a little bit. You see? Just a potential little troll. Like when you're on Lake Minnetonka and you're there for 5 hours in a cabin on the middle of the lake while it's frozen, and there's potentially gray wolves walking around you, and your friend Ty's got the runs and he's out in an outhouse that doesn't even have a door, and you're just trying to pull out one fish, and all you're doing is you're just looking for that fish to go, "Hey!" And they just did it to the entire world yesterday, twice. Antonio Brown and Kanye took over the world yesterday.
Genius.
That's business, baby.
At Tone Diggs, what's going on, bub? Your eyes are rolling to the back of your head.
Well, I think Kanye is big enough that he doesn't have to do all those tweets before announcing an album.
You don't think Kim?
Well, I'm saying that for them too. I don't think she has to do that stuff either.
I know.
But AB, if he's promoting an album, I think he does need to draw some attention to his album. But if he really does want to go back and play football, which maybe he doesn't, I don't think retiring or fake retiring to push your album is a good idea if he wants to get back into football.
Yeah, but maybe he says, if we sell a bunch of Himothy, I don't have to get back into football.
Maybe.
So let's go all in here for Himothy, and then if this flops, okay, we just go ahead back to football. Which, by the way, I thought for the first, 10 times I went up onto a stand-up stage in front of sold-out theaters, no big deal. How's it going? Debut in front of a sold-out theater. Don't talk about that a lot. 97 minutes straight, couple water breaks. Let's go. Let's have a good time. But as I was walking out, I was like, if this stinks, I'll just go back to kicking balls. I don't know if Antonio Brown has that luxury right now because he's not currently on a team, and nobody knows how big the suspension is that's inevitably going to come for all the allegations and accusations and everything that potentially did happen, which is terrible. But this feels like this is potentially trying to move some songs. And, hey, there's a couple billionaires in one family doing stuff like this. So, alleged billionaires. Then it came out that those were lies. I mean, it never ends. It's the Kris Jenner playbook, and it never, ever ends. We obviously hope that they are very healthy, okay? That this is not a mental breakdown. But if it isn't a mental breakdown and this is all just strategy, you got to respect who it's coming from, and that's the OG Kris Jenner at Ty Schmidt. What's up?
Do you think that Kanye in South Carolina was then also part of this ploy? It's like you kind of have that all right, let's heat the oven up, get people kind of coming toward it, and then boom, then we hit it on Twitter, and then the album's dropping at the end of it.
I would assume a presidential run was something that Kris potentially put up into like a dry erase board and then just walked out of the room. I see them like thinking in a room, and Kanye's like, all right, I got a new album coming out. Haven't had an album since that one that had 6 songs that was very underwhelming, but my younger fans loved it because younger fans love anything that their favorite person puts out, whether or not it's trash or not, which, by the way, I appreciate, because if we have any of those and I put out trash and you're still a fan, thank you. And that's going to happen at some point. But I would assume that in some dry erase board, Kris walks up and they're like, all right, how do we market that a new album's coming? And Kris is just sitting there or whatever. She probably has like a $700,000 watch on. She just goes, we are in the middle of an election year. And she just writes, President, yay. And then, which party are we going to run for? And then, birthday party. And then just walks out and everybody's like, that'll never work. And then what happened this weekend? Shut it down. I mean, it just feels like this is all just promotional stuff. And you know what it is? To be honest, if you want to go OG here, this is WWE. That's all it is. It's WWE just in a completely different space. Now, this is obviously all, if this isn't a mental breakdown, which we hope it is not, but it feels like there's way too much promotion for things that definitely cost money to be coming out here in the middle of all this.
So if we're thinking this is the long game, has AB been practicing and thrown with Geno Smith and Russell Wilson and Dwayne Haskins for the last 3 months, not because he was trying to get back into football, but just to keep his name relevant until the album was done?
Well, and Sean Kingston. Let's have a little respect for Kingston. I would assume that just staying relevant on the internet is something that he's become because he is a social media superstar. At AB is whenever he tweets, people move. I mean, that doesn't always happen for a lot of people. I would assume the workouts with Russell Wilson, though, is something I'd be like, oh, That's like if I wanted to, everybody knows I could just go out and punt a couple balls, kick some field goals, especially with how in shape I am right now. You'd be like, yeah, coming back this year. The internet would be a buzz. And then somebody would ask me, are you really going to do that? And it's like, I don't think so, man. I don't think so, but it does. It's just, it's playing the game. Yeah. It really is playing the game. And everybody is so quick to be like, oh, he's having a mental breakdown. He's having a mental breakdown. What if he's just literally out promoting everybody else? And they just, you know what I mean? And then now you're getting sympathy from people as well.
Yeah.
And you're getting attention. Now, granted, if it is a mental breakdown, we have to reiterate this once again. That is not cool. Hope he gets all the help he could potentially need. It seems like he potentially had medicine that was helping him. So whether or not he stopped, whatever that is, we don't know Kanye personally. I don't know if anybody knows Kanye personally other than that family over there. But aside from that, this is just great promotion. I had no idea Donda was coming Friday.
No one did.
We got Nubier coming out on Friday. How's it going to sound? Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue what this is going to sound like. No, is it going to be gospel music? Nah. Is it going to be old Kanye? Nah. It's going to be new Kanye with a bunch of sounds, not a lot of bars? Maybe. Who knows what it's going to sound like? All I do know is that I think Chris Jenner was behind it all. At Nick Moraldo's here, Jason McAfee's here, at Viva Lazito's here, at Evan Foxy's here, and at Boston Connor on the phones, 1-833-622-3331, wearing his spacesuit because of yesterday's 51-year anniversary, I do believe.
Very disparaging about Nas yesterday. But back to the Kanye thing real quick. I believe he was saying Shia LaBeouf was the Shia, and it was because he missed a photo shoot for Gap for Kanye.
Well, Shia LaBeouf, now I will say, he will miss a photo shoot.
Yeah.
If I know anything about Shia in the current state, he's living on his own time, doing his own thing. But there's a guy, if he wants to take over the internet, he can do it. What'd you say, Zeke?
That's why he's digging some holes.
Is that a movie he was in?
Yeah.
Good movie.
Okay. I obviously have never seen that.
It's a
but
Disney movie.
I remember him from being a little kid, and he was sleeping in a bed in a
No.
storefront.
Yep. Oh, even Stevens. Yeah.
That's the only time I ever saw
Beans.
Shia LaBeouf.
It's a great episode.
And then I saw him on the internet. That's the only time I know Shia.
Did I see that he just got his entire body tattooed for a role?
Yeah, he is
A real tattoo?
He just did this like a week ago. He's method acting, but he actually got his whole front of his body tattooed for his character.
Ink my whole body. I don't give a mother.
Yeah.
That's a great song. And also, great commitment. And that's probably why he missed the photo shoot, by the way.
Exactly.
That guy had needles digging into his entire body. But Ye doesn't care. You're supposed to be here for this Gap shoot. Go ahead and do that. I like that Shia LaBeouf is another guy that whenever he acts out or does anything, the internet stops. So Kanye, maybe he's even employed Shia here. Shia will now make a video, and now we're even talking even more Donda.
Exactly.
Even longer game.
Donda coming on Friday. Oh, so he decided to shade in everything too. It's not just the tattoos that I'm really impressed by? The white dudes that get the dark blue, thick tat, full body. You ever seen this?
Oh, like the entire
Solid, just a
Solid.
Yeah.
wild.
There's this dude that I forget. I don't know if we played together at West Virginia, if he was too young. He was the next generation at West Virginia. But he's a fighter now. And he's friends with my friend Reed, so I followed him, just kind of keep up. West Virginia football guy getting into fighting, here we go. He's got almost an arm done, and that has to hurt so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how bad that hurts, but that has to hurt so bad. Okay, so he's playing white trash kid.
American Honey.
I like it a lot. Okay, good luck out there,
It
Shy.
says creeper on his belly. Oh, I see the R now.
Hey, thug life, dog. Gotta do what you gotta do down there. My lady's got a beautiful set of tats on her arm, and she's got some over here, and the whole thing. And it's very. I'm a big tattoo fan, but I've sat on a chair 4 times now at this point, and I just can't do it. It's not the pain. I guess would definitely be something that I am scared of, but also, forever's a long time.
Permanence. Yeah.
What? I'm getting married here in a few weeks, so maybe I'll get the whole wedding thing, which they definitely tell you to do. Get her name on there, get the entire. That's what they say. That's really smart to do. So maybe I'll get something to symbolize that. But boy, I don't know anything that I definitely am certain that I want on my body. I don't know, a week from now.
Maybe Donda. Donda.
I wouldn't be surprised next, by the way, Kanye gets face
on
tat.
his forehead.
It says Donda or whatever.
What is it?
What's that?
What's it stand for?
It's
you think?
his mom's name.
Ah, okay.
Show some respect.
Have a little respect.
I thought it was something else.
23 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break. We got a massive guest today. Andrew Brandt, Business of Sport. By the way, works at Vayner Sports. I hope you guys feel good about
Great.
yourselves
Nice.
after
Yeah,
yesterday.
of course.
Incredible company.
And Rex Ryan joins the show. Listen, Andrew, I don't want to disrespect you not getting a clap. I mean, you were always good on the show. You're going to teach us a lot. I feel like there's potential bad news coming from you, but I like Andrew Brandt when he comes on the show. I enjoy chatting with him. Rex Ryan is going to bring electricity.
Oh, yeah.
Just need to know, this is the first time he's been on this show. He and I have spent, hours on television together and in pre-production meetings. I love Rex Ryan, and I think you all will love him much more after this conversation as well. He's great. We got a pretty good show. 1-833-622-3331. Might be able to sneak a couple guest calls or listener calls in as well. Let's have a Tuesday, July 21st. Donda's coming out Friday, and Himothy is coming out soon as well. But, boy, there's a lot of tweets that are going to happen in between now and then. And I hope we don't think that the world's coming down. I hope everybody's healthy. But, boy, Friday, I'm pumped for it. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. There's a grown man with face paint on. So you're Big Nut.
I am, and you're Little Nut.
Well, I've had a few of those in my life. I'll tell you what, Big Nut. I hope to find you one day on my wedding night. Big Nut!
Little Nut!
You did a great job, too. The lines are straight. No DUI problem there. You're really doing a great job here, sir. Hey, Big Nut, I love everything you're about, bud.
Because we are going to win the game.
He just spit in my mouth while saying that. The most likely team to make the college football playoff is the team that is in Columbus. He said khakis are way too close to that team from up north. If you don't put black pants on right now, you're going to get booed out of Columbus. So I went with the black. Makes me look thin. And whenever I say two letters, the place goes crazy. O-H! Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie George. That offense, though, led by Justin Fields. He has 41 touchdowns accounted for, only one turnover. I don't know how he isn't the Heisman favorite right now.
Well, he certainly has a chance to make a stick at that today, certainly next week.
I was supposed to be in Penn State Nittany Lion, and Mike McQueary told me I wasn't Penn State material.
Okay, Herbie was your quarterback. He was a senior. You were a freshman. What was he like as a teammate?
Oh, he was great, man. Big shoulder pads. Kurt could run for days back in the day.
We have a guy that can break every single bone in my body. Stipe, how you doing, boss man? They're down 6-1. She wants to flex on the gram. He says, lady, we are getting slaughtered by the Pittsburgh Penguins. No.
Do I do a chair? I thought I need to do this.
Here's the thing about home security companies.
What's that?
Most trap you with high prices, tricky contracts, and lousy customer support.
I'm sick of it.
We all are.
Yep.
So while there are a lot of options out there, there's only one no-brainer, and that's Simply Safe. Simply Safe's got everything you need to protect your home with none of the drawbacks of traditional home security. It's got an arsenal of sensors and cameras to blanket every room, window, and door tailored specifically for your home. Professional monitoring keeps watch day and night, ready to send police, fire, or medical professionals if there's an emergency. You can set it up yourself in under an hour. Just peel and stick the sensors exactly where you need them. No technician required. And there's no contract, no pushy sales guys, no hidden fees, or no fine print. All this starts at just $15 a month. And I'm not the only one who thinks Simply Safe is great.
Is that right?
Yeah, no. I mean, U.S. News and World Report named it the best overall home security of 2020.
Wow.
Try Simply Safe today at simplysafe.com/Pat. You get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. There's nothing to lose. That's simplysafe.com/Pat.
All right.
Now, ladies.
Has anybody in here heard about? Yeah. Has anybody in here heard of Wingman magazine?
Wingman.
Me neither. I guess it's a good magazine.
What's going on?
They asked me to be on the cover, but I've never heard of it.
Oh,
before.
nice.
I
Still
don't
do
know.
it.
Oh yeah, it's basically like
You could be
GQ.
my wingman anytime.
I am a pretty good wingman, by the way.
Oh,
Just what I
wingman, not
tell
like
you.
buffalo wings. Like wingman.
We don't know. I don't know. Could be. If I'm a Buffalo wingman, which I am, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Also potentially there. I feel like I am a pretty good wingman. If you look at all of Indianapolis's, what were those, Bumbles and
Tinder?
Fornicate apps, I was basically a picture with everybody in there and during their profiles. So, I mean, I feel like I have potentially been a part of people having sex with each other.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. Looking at it, does not seem like it is
like a
talking
movie
about
poster.
wings.
That's a cool cover, though.
That
don't
is
know.
a very cool cover.
Those guys look like they like wings too.
I am also in the best shape I have ever been in. Is now the time to potentially do that?
Yeah.
And then I'll do the rock like this thing. Whatever you grab your the thing.
yeah.
What's that thing? It's the
Cufflinks?
cufflinks.
Yeah.
There it is. Do I even have a suit to wear on that though? Answer: no. So I don't know. I just got an email. They need an answer like now though. It's like, well, so I'm definitely option 7 here. If you need an answer now for it.
Are they watching?
I don't know, probably not. I would assume that they were told by somebody that I could potentially be somebody that would go on there. And I don't like anything that sends me an email and then says, I need an answer now. Like my normal thing is, well, you can go fornicate yourself then.
Yes.
Because you're acting as if I don't have anything going on in my life and that I want to drop everything just to answer you when I've never heard of your magazine. But I've never heard of a lot of magazines, so maybe I'm out of touch. I asked the room here. Nobody has a clue, but I do feel like we're all pretty like-minded individuals. Yeah.
The cover.
Yeah. Yeah, sure feels like it.
The cover of the summer issue is Donovan McNabb and a doctor. They're tackling COVID-19. So maybe would you
Donovan McNabb doing COVID-19 research?
would you be the fall? Would you be the fall?
I have no idea. I got no clue. They need an answer right now, though. I'll do it.
There it is.
If they're watching, though. I won't email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
You know what I mean? So
fair.
I won't send an email back
They email you back
right now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. If they are watching, I will do it. Just strictly because I don't know if I'm ever going to be in this shape ever again. So we might as well. Now would be the time to potentially get on a cover, even if I've never heard of said magazine. Now would be the time to potentially do a cover shoot.
thought we were staying in shape.
Maybe. I mean, last night, there's a lot of conversations with me and my food and everything like that.
It's tough to stay in shape.
It is an everyday thing. Zito, stay in shape is an interesting way to phrase that. Because you did get in shape that one time.
Oh, yeah. He lost like 60 pounds.
In 1 month. It was unbelievable. I don't know how you survived that, to be honest. The more and more I learn about how the heart operates and if you lose a bunch of weight. And you're a survivor of losing 60 pounds in 1 month and then gaining 85 in a month and a half. That is quite a wild
Food
ride.
tastes so good.
You're
the
amazing.
grass is greener on the other side.
Listen.
I'm running out of cliches.
Yeah, all right. Let's go to Skylar down in Tampa. What's going on, Skylar?
How you doing, man? What's up?
Not too bad. How are you?
Not bad, just at work. I got a couple questions, actually, a quick one. Do you think AB and Le'Veon will ever collab on an album?
You know, Le'Veon Bell, not a bad rapper. Doesn't get enough credit. I remember when he rapped on his front porch, okay? He's playing catch, and he was talking to the Steelers, and what he wanted, he said, I need 17 M's. Then he sat out an entire season, to rap down in Miami. He was on yachts. He was on thoughts. He was on jet skis. He was doing debut albums at like 3 a.m. in clubs. He was living that rap life. Then he came back to the game last year. His quarterback obviously had mono, so I don't think he had his best foot forward for the entire season. Le'Veon Bell was signed by the previous GM too. So, I mean, there's a lot of situations that Lev is currently in that are not ideal. But I think if Lev and AB get on a track together, it is going to be a heater. You got to remember they were killer bees back in the day. Those were 2 of the 3 killer bees. Make it 4 if you had Chris Boswell in there with Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, and Marty B. There was like 7 Bs at one point going there in Pittsburgh. I think that song would be great, obviously. I mean, I feel like a lot of new music is all trash anyway. So to compare athletes to actual musicians, it's kind of difficult because I would assume back in the day, actual rappers and stuff, you know, they took a lot of pride in their work and like everything. But nowadays, no offense, it's a lot of producers and sounds and things like that. That's kind of where the music is moved. So if you get a good producer on an album with, I don't know, you get DJ Khaled on there, you get Timbaland on there, you get Scotty Storch, I believe is his name, on there with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. They're basically guaranteeing a banger. It's guaranteed to be a banger. So it all depends on who puts the song together. Diggs, what are you grimacing for you?
I love Lev Bell. Because it was business, baby. I mean, him leaving, that was business, baby.
Yeah, it was.
But he stinks at rapping.
Jeez, dude.
I mean, every single song sounds the same. It's very, very, very auto-tuned. AB, I actually like as a rapper.
Really?
A whole lot of money.
And you don't? Is this you trying
and
to
his
bring?
was not business, baby.
Oh, so you're trying to bring Antonio Brown back to the Steelers? Is that what you're trying to do right now?
No, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. Sure feels like that's what you're trying to do.
Maybe.
I'd take him. I'm okay with anybody trying to get into the rap game. I mean, I had one song went to number 1 on a chart. People forget me and Sean Latham, the Raptivists. Okay, because we made a song about what about the fish in the Sea of Japan that were just getting nuked every day by Jim Kong-un over there. So we made an entire song. Went to the number 1 on the comedy rap album list. No big deal. No big deal. It was there for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and it dropped quickly off the charts. But it was still up there at number 1. I don't mind if people get in the music game because music, like food, everybody has their own taste.
Yeah,
That's right.
You know what I mean? Everybody has their own taste.
Lev Bell, the best athlete rapper, or what do we
No,
think?
listen, we're not even getting into that game. Not even getting into that game. Because
Sure?
you got, no way.
Dame Dollar?
You got a lot of people that, I mean, Kevin Durant's even, I mean, there is a
Did
lot.
Dion rap a little bit?
Dion,
yeah.
Shaq,
Lonzo,
Kobe,
Lonzo
AI.
Ball.
I mean, there is a long list of musicians or athletes that have rapped before and made music before, and I'm not going to get into who the best is.
Kobe.
The 85 Bears, yeah, Kobe did something. There's some country musicians, too, that have come out of the NFL world. Let's not get crazy. Former punter for the Colts. He had a Christian band, and then now he's a country musician or whatever. I mean, he bashed me one time while speaking at a church, which I feel like that's a place you shouldn't make fun of people
not
at.
very Christian.
But his music's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know how Jesus would feel about that, but I don't have a good enough relationship with the guy to be able to quote him. But, I mean, there's a lot of things there's a lot of musicians that come out of it. Because the brain, you got to keep the brain going. So I respect it all. Nelly is by far the
Greatest athlete, musician of all time.
See, there's going to be a lot of people.
John Daly.
John Daly. That is potentially.
Yeah, good job. Hats off.
I hit it hard, man. I was gonna talk to him about Tampa because there's some rumors rumbling around the internet about Tampa Bay in their hotel situation for the Super Bowl in the NFL. And I don't know how many people have reported this. And this potentially puts me in the same situation I was last week when I got some information about something that never inevitably happened. And that's why you always want to kind of dance around the situation. But I've been told, I have been told that the NFL has the rights to the hotels that they currently have in Tampa for an extended 4 weeks after the Super Bowl is to be played. So why would they have those rights, you have to ask? Why do they have right to first refusal or whatever for those hotels for an entire month after the Super Bowl is to be played down in Tampa? That makes you question. Is the NFL thinking maybe there's going to be a delay at some point? Is the NFL thinking like, oh, we might have to back the Super Bowl up a little bit because we don't know what's going to happen? Or is this just the NFL thinking with a little bit of forethought as opposed to being reactionary, saying, hey, we might have to adjust some things throughout this season. Maybe the season starts on time, but it ends up having to stop because of a spike, and then they get back into it. Maybe they test players. They find an alarming amount of players have it, so they have to delay preseason a little bit more. Maybe They just delay the season to begin with because they can't figure out the testing. There are a lot of reasons why this could potentially happen, but I am told on good authority that the NFL does have the rights to those hotels for an extra month down in Tampa. Is that normal? I'm not sure. I don't know if that's how it is every single Super Bowl year, but I do know it's this year, and in the world, in the current climate that we're in, it is something that should be talked about. Because remember when the NFL released their schedule, they said there is no alternative schedule. This is the schedule. We haven't even thought about anything else. I think somebody somewhere in the NFL has thought about a potential adjustment having to happen, unless this is just normal and they always do this. That extended right of first refusal for the hotels for a month, I think does say that there are some things cooking behind the scenes at the NFL.
I don't know about you, but that feels like breaking news to me.
Is it? I don't know if it's real, though. So that's the issue. I have on good authority that that's real news. But I don't have the actual hotels and the NFL telling me. So I'm not like a big J journalist. I am on the internet here. But I don't have the hotels and the NFL saying that is a factual statement. I just have people that know of the situation telling me. So breaking news, potentially, the NFL is thinking about almost maybe having to, if they have to extend the season, they got another month what's that?
Leeway?
Not a fluff, like a buffer period they have adjusted for. Unless they do that every year, which we do not know. I just know this year they have. We have to get to a break. 39 minutes after the hour, we got Andrew Brandt, Business of Sports podcast host, joining us on the other side. We'll talk to him about the NFL and the NFLPA's negotiations and why would the NFL have those hotels for an extra 4 weeks afterwards? Is this normal? You're a part of this entire thing. Is this normal, or is this them thinking behind the scenes that there could potentially be a little bit of a SOS happening? Save our Super Bowl. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, July 21st.
This is Remember the Titans. How's it going? My name is Pat McAfee. I do a lot of things. Today I am a professional analyst getting ready for the Thursday Night Football opener in beautiful Nippert Stadium with the Cincinnati Bearcats here at Higher Ground. This secluded world. Good squad, good place. Excited for this morning practice. I'm obviously unbiased, but I'm pulling hard for Cincinnati to do well on Thursday night.
I like to say, all in clipboard quarterback, man. This is awesome. And we got hopefully a future NFL kicker. Let's see what you got. Come on.
This is great for the brand. This guy's an athlete. Athlete. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Goodness.
They say kickers are athletes. We'll find out. Let's go.
Pull it up. Heads up.
Popping on the west side, this is where I stay.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for hospitality. Have a great day. Let's go get it.
1, 2, 3. Going in, I'ma close the case. I can't wait no more, man. I gotta blow today. I'ma blow today. I ain't hearing what they say. Need a blue face, I've been caring about the race. I've been trying to eat, I need more than just a taste. Now they trying to talk, oh no, they should know their place. Man, I'm ballin', this ain't cap, baby, now I feel like calling. From the O, but I got the music poppin'. All the time, man, it started get obnoxious. Now I gotta drive, yeah, I'm feeling nauseous. Gotta drive top down, then I hop out, I've been feeling hot now.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll definitely ask.
Yeah, you got it.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. This has been so cool to see. Whenever we were driving out here into the sticks, my boys and I from Indianapolis, we were told by Coach Fickle it was a 40-minute drive from where we live. absolute lie. Hour and a half out here. But as we were getting out here, we didn't know what we were going to show up to. And this is such a cool scene here. I remember whenever I was in college, we won a lot of games, beat Cincinnati a couple times. It was a great day. But I remember my boys, right? Like, I still am in touch with them every single day, every single week. We had this moment where we went from boys to become men. And you guys were a really young team last year, but got to experience a lot of wins. Like, now the expectation levels are high. And I can't wait to talk you all up on Thursday night against UCLA. UCLA refused to respond to my tweet. So I am a Bearcat fan on that opening night, and I cannot wait to watch you guys dominate. And I think this is such a cool thing. Coach, I can't thank you enough for your hospitality. I got a bunch of swag from you guys, too. This has been a cool day. Enjoy this, though. This doesn't happen a lot. Even when you get into the NFL, it's not like college. It's not like your boys. It's not like this. It's a whole different world that you'll remember forever, and I was honored to be here to watch you today, and I can't wait to watch you guys go win the thing on Thursday night and then throughout the rest of the season. Thank you so much. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
One, two, three.
Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. The good thing about our show is I can't actually speak to the people that are producing the show.
Correct.
So like Zito, Foxy, everybody behind the glass back there who's potentially, telling us if we're on the air, off the air, connected, not connected, or have a guest on or don't have a guest on. I actually cannot talk to them. I can only utilize Zito's hand signals. So he was on. I waved to Andrew Brandt. Then for some reason, right before we go live, 3 seconds before we go live, Zito looks at me, shakes his head, and goes, so I think it means
that transfers. I hung up on him because the connection looks a little rough.
But guess who's back?
With a little rough connection again. But let's just check it out, see how it goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, host of the Business of Sports podcast. He writes for The Athletic. He's an executive at VP Vayner Sports and former Packers front office and also an agent. The man has done everything in the business of sports world. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Brandt.
Yeah!
Hey.
Andrew, thank you for joining us. Did I see you ran a marathon this weekend at 60?
I turned 60 the day I did it. It's called a duathlon because I don't swim, Pat. So I do a run.
Me neither.
Run. And they're not much events this year. It's like you find them where you can get them. They did these individual starts, so you keep socially distanced. And I hit it, man. It was good to get out. I've leaned into the fitness during this pandemic, man.
Well, me too, by the way. I was 245 pounds. We're going to call you right back because you're chopping out every single word, every other word. And whenever you speak, I think people should listen. Andrew Brandt said he does duathlons right there.
Mm-hmm. For his birthday?
So it's bike and run? Yep. Hey, I can get down with that one there. The swimming, because in triathlon, you got to swim like a mile out in a lake or whatever, and you got to get that chop in the jaws.
Yep.
And I'm not... I have a fear of drowning anytime I'm in water, especially with that hole in my eardrum I had. I'm not very comfortable in water. I am a land animal. The thought of doing a running and biking duathlon, I think I can get behind.
Yeah, I don't mind that either, actually.
Why doesn't CFO Phil do one of those?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Idea.
CFO Phil.
He seems like a triathlon guy.
I don't know if he could swim. We don't know if he could swim. Can he swim well? He was on a kayak out there. I guess he's good.
He's fast on that kayak, too.
Is he back, Zito?
He's frozen right now, but it's a good...
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Oh, he's actually a lot better now. He's a lot better now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Andrew Brandt.
Can I call?
Yeah. Just call. Good idea. We'll give you the number. Zito will give you the number right now.
You got it.
Man, that was going to be a good conversation, too. Because right now, the NFL negotiations seem like we're very close to having a season.
Yes.
Now, obviously, they figured out the COVID response. At least 25 of the 32 teams, as of yesterday, have completed their infectious disease emergency response plan that has been okayed by the NFLPA and the NFL. In said plan, they're either getting tested every other day, every fourth day, or at least every day. I think there is a lot of conversations that have to be had because each individual local ordinance is going to have to decide on how the NFL handles their players being in their building. We talked about this yesterday. The Ivy League, Robin Miller, the executive director, canceled the season because of each individual campus's rules. That's what the NFL is going to have to do with each individual government and state rules. The fact that the MLB has already got back into work in a lot of these same towns is great news for the NFL. The IDER is what they're calling it, the Infectious Disease Emergency Response Plan, was the biggest step to get back into the building. And then once the players get back into the building and you assume that they're in that bubble-like feel where everybody passes the test, if they end up with a positive test, they're out of the building. But if that test result doesn't come for 3 days, are they out of the building for those 3 days until the test result comes back? And what happens during those 3 days if they pick it up from the first time they were tested to when the results come back? There is a lot of things that have to happen. But now, let's assume that the guidelines for the COVID recall or protocol have been reached. Now is time for the business conversation with the players. Now comes the time for the business side of sport to be really spotlighted, and they will have about 48 days to get that happen if they plan on starting the season on time. Joining us now to talk about that, a man who is a former executive for the Packers and the Business of Sport podcast host, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Brandt.
Yeah! Attaboy, Andy!
Hey, Pat, sorry about the video connection, but you got me on audio. And you're right. I mean, we're seeing a replay of baseball. We talked about this. Number one, health and safety protocols. Number two, the business, the money. And in baseball, they pretty much got through the health and safety, the no spitting, the no sunflower seeds. But then it took forever on the baseball. It got ugly. It got contentious, and they never did make a deal. Manfred imposed a 60-game season. And I said at the time he ran out the clock because players couldn't get in more than 60 games to get to camp, to start practicing and get the season going. I think the NFL is just kind of running the clock because by the time they get to the hard money decision, they're going to be practicing. So the players are already kind of in the gates. And then what are you going to do? Say we couldn't get a deal, pull them out of camp? I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, because that makes the players look terrible. If they've already been in there practicing, they're already getting tested. If it's anything like the NBA and the MLS and the NHL, where the NBA had 0 positive tests out of 346 players tested. Pat Connaughton is not in Orlando. He tested positive. The NHL had 2 out of more than 800 players test positive. And the MLS have had no new coronavirus cases for the 4th straight round of either testing or games. But whenever you look at those stats, if the players are in the building, and they're having no positive tests, and the system is working COVID-wise, if business gets involved and delays the season, the public perception of the players is going to be paramount, worse than it has ever been.
You're right, Pat, and that's where the owners have an advantage. Now, we've heard a couple things floated. First, it was 35% escrow. In other words, they take 35% of salaries, the league does, and hold them in a pot and don't relieve them until January or February, depending on how much revenue the NFL lost during this season. Then we heard something about a $40 million cap hit where the union wants to slice that over 10 years, and the owners say, no, we want that now and at the latest next year. So you got a lot to work out in the next few weeks on the money side. And as I've been tweeting, you think the health and safety was hard? That was the easy part of this 2-part negotiation.
Now, the NFLPA came out and said they think that the salary cap is going to take a $141 million hit next year. What are those numbers coming from? And how will that maybe get dispersed over the next 10 years of salary cap? Like, how will that all play out?
I think what they said is the cap could go down as low as $140 million. And you think about that. We're at $200 million. Now think about a $60 million cut. So each team's going to have to basically cut $1 million off of each player on average from what they're making this year to next year. That's a killer. And that's why the owners say, hey, we're willing to bring down this year's cap, which I predicted months ago, and smooth it out a little bit next year. But we don't want to go into future years because we want our teams to sort of know what they're doing later in the cap and have already planned for that. They want to take the hit now, but the players say, hey, we got an 11-year CBA, let's smooth it out. So I think what you just said is the players aren't arguing that if we have no fans, we're going to lose this massive chunk of revenues. What they're saying is, we'll work with you, league, just work with our 10-year agreement. And the league says, no, we want to take it out on you now and then just get it over with.
You know, the very interesting thing is the public perception is always like, well, the players should just take their money and shut up. And the reason why is because a lot of people that are fans of the game might have played the game in high school and their dream was to make it to the NFL. You never hear them say, oh, tell the billionaires just to shut up then and deal with it, because in business there are some risks, like potentially not being able to fill up your stadium. Now, if you were to be drawing up the perfect outcome here for how you would handle if there was, let's say, a $50 million loss for the NFL. Now, for radio, we're going to have to go to a break. We'll see you on the other side. Conversation continues at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show with Andrew Brandt. Rex Ryan's in the second hour. Andrew, if you were to draw out a perfect plan for this, for the NFLPA and the NFL to agree on, have you thought about what that would look like, and how would you present that to both sides?
Yeah, again, everything is compromised. I think that there's one side saying, we got a 12-year CBA, 11-year, let's spread it out over that length. We got another side saying, let's take the medicine now. What about a compromise? You know, if it's a $50 million hit, why not spread that out in terms of $10 million a year for 5 years, $12 million a year for 4 years? Let's figure it out, something where we can have a modicum of compromise here instead of one way or the other, because there's a lot to do in between. And quickly, Pat, your perception is right. On collective negotiations, the public sides with the owners. The players should take that deal. The union should just shut up and play. But what's interesting, and I'm sure you note this too, on individual negotiations, Mahomes or Prescott or whoever, the public's like, yeah, the player. The player should go and get what he can. It's really interesting because on collective, everyone sides with the owners, but on individual, people like the players.
Yeah, you were the one that told me the $500 million deal was a bad deal for Patrick Mahomes. Do you remember when you said that?
I still believe that.
You think a deal gets done, or you think this is going to be very problematic for everybody here in the next couple of days?
I think, like you said, no one's going to walk away from camp. Players are already starting to come in. They will get it done. And then it's the larger issue. I know you don't want to talk about it. Then it's the whole larger issue of playing through a pandemic, and what if you get multiple infections? We're encouraged by what we see in the other leagues. 0 tests in the NBA. I know they're bubbling, and the NFL's got a good plan. But, you know, this thing could go sideways at any time. You get a lineman infected, you quarantine the line, you quarantine the D-line. What the heck do you do?
I think the question is, for me, especially after I have on good authority, Andrew, I have on good authority that the NFL has the right to first refusal for all the hotels in Tampa for at least another month after the currently scheduled Super Bowl. So, is that normal? Does the NFL always do that with every city they go to? Or do you think that is potentially the NFL thinking like, hey, we might end up having to delay a little bit here. We still need to have our Super Bowl in Tampa. Or what do you think that is, if that is accurate, which I was told by a couple of people that it is 100% accurate?
Well, I think if your scoop is right, that makes sense, and that would not surprise me. You know, we had 9/11. They missed this a week. They pushed things back. They bought out New Orleans. They bought out a convention that was supposed to be there the week of the scheduled Super Bowl, the week after, so they moved the Super Bowl back. The NFL's got a lot of power, so they can move out other conventions and move themselves in, which it sounds like they may have already done in Tampa. Totally doesn't surprise me. They've got to prepare for the worst here.
That's interesting, though, because when they released the schedule, they actually said there is no other schedule that we're thinking of. This is the schedule. This is what we're rolling with. Now it's like, maybe we should think about this a little bit.
Yeah, they're planning for all the eventualities. And I think this quarantining, you know, I think they have a plan for that. We still haven't heard about that. Like, where do you put these people? Like, you know, when I was at the Packers, we had a couple MRSA outbreaks, and we just had a sort of a safe house that we put players with MRSA. That was the only experience we had quarantining. I just think they've got to have a better plan for that.
You guys had a MRSA house?
We had a MRSA house that one of our players that we cut had left behind, with an existing lease, so we leased it from him, and we had a MRSA house.
We need to move in a medical. Hey, listen, we'll pay you money, not for you to play because we already cut you, but we will pay whatever you want to lease it to us. We got to put all of our MRSA-infected players in there. Andrew, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Every time you do, I feel like I learn. We'll have a longer conversation. Hopefully, we'll get to see your beautiful face next time.
All right, guys. And, Pat, I was posing in that pic just like you, man. How about that?
Hey, you look yoked at 60. That was a motivational, inspirational post. I'll never do a duathlon, but if I live to 60 and I look half as good as you, I'll be pumped. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Brandt.
Andrew! Oh, man. Take care, guys.
All right, I have to run to the restroom before hour 2 starts. We got 30 seconds.
You got it. Fuck. Go.
I don't got it, though. Everybody knows I am a long peer. Yeah. I pee frequently, and I pee at long, particular times while peeing. I don't know how it happens, to be honest. Active bladder. I drink a lot. Everybody's asking me what my new move is. Green tea. I've gone from the black tea to the green tea because the black tea flavor kind of turned on my taste buds. Green tea, I don't love the taste, but it gets the job done.
There we go.
I've heard it's healthier.
Short hair, big bladder.
Who knows if that's fucking right. Hello. It is Tuesday, July 21st. Hour 2 kicks off in spectacular fashion. Just got done talking to Andrew Brandt about the state of the NFL and the NFLPA. COVID-19 rollout protocols to get teams back in facilities have been okayed by at least 25 of the 32 teams. Players will get back in the building. Who knows how that's going to go? How many positive tests will come from it? How many people will have to leave the building? How many people will be banned from the building because of positive? Nobody knows any of that, but it feels as if the NFL is taking the first couple steps of getting us back into the season. Now comes time for the money financial conversation. And that is going to get loud. That is going to be one where there's going to be a lot of proposals that we hear about on Twitter. We're going to hear a lot of proposals from the player side. We're going to hear how the NFL is doing it. We're going to hear about a massive amount of money which is lost, which I asked during the MLB thing, like, hey, you own a business. There is a potential that your business will lose money. Like in every other business, there's a chance that your business will lose money. But when you own a sports team, it's like there's zero chance of us potentially losing money here. We're only going to gain money. So if we're losing money, we're changing everything because we have to continue to gain money. And that's why billionaires are billionaires. But that conversation with the NFLPA is going to be one that's going to take place over the next couple of weeks on how we get back into the season. Is the salary cap going to take a hit because of potential revenue that's brought in? Yes. How much? When will it be punishable to the salary cap? When will players have to take lesser deals? Nobody knows any of that, and that is supposed to get figured out while training camp happens, which for a large majority of the teams is starting 1 week from today. If you look around at the other leagues, the NBA has had 0 positive tests out of 346 players tested down in the Orlando bubble. Now, we thought there was potential an infection coming in because people were penetrating the bubble. There was Postmates and DoorDash and Uber Eats showing up, crossing the line, players going out there, people sending out potential Hail Marys to ladies in Los Angeles to take the trip down to the bubble and sneak their way through the bushes to get in there. But 0 COVID-19 penetrations into the bubble. That means everything that the NBA has put into place and the players responding to everything the NBA has put into place is working officially down in Orlando. So the NBA is coming back. Can't wait to watch that.
Yes.
Couple different courts, games all day. Here we go, NBA. Then if you look at the NHL, 2 out of more than 800 players tested positive. And this is while the NHL teams are at their home facilities while still going home and coming back to training camp. They will obviously, after training camp, get placed into 2 bubbles up in Canada, one in Edmonton, one in Toronto. Obviously have to have 0 failed tests or positive tests if you're going to get into the bubble for the bubble to work. It feels like the NHL is on their way to coming back and being on. And the MLS, a team that is outdoor, that has contact, that is also down in Orlando and started before the NBA got down to Orlando. They have had 0 new coronavirus cases for the 4th straight round. Shout out to the MLS.
Well done.
Now, the NHL came out earlier this week and said that they would not report who had coronavirus. Only 2 out of 800 probably changed their tune a little bit because they were doing that to save themselves from the public backlash and potential negativity of them going forward. And they wanted to say, hey, let's give this a test here, a real try without the public perception ruining anything. We think the bubble's going to work. Although the Edmonton Rogers Center, which the boys are supposed to be playing the Western Conference in, is underwater. No, it's not underwater.
It's confirmed, good to go.
Okay, so they had a flooding issue last week. Let's assume that won't happen again while everybody's in the bubble with the rains. That's good. Get them up there. Will the coronavirus get in there? No. Will Noah's Ark be needed? Potentially in the arena. But these are all good things for the NFL to look at. Now, the MLB numbers are going to be very important for the NFL as well because they're playing at individual stadiums. They're going home. They're traveling, which is what the NFL will do. Now, baseball is a socially distanced sport. That is a sport where people stay away from each other. The way they've set out the dugouts is in a fashion where nobody's around each other. I would assume at some point in the showers they're near each other, but if they wear their masks, they're in a good spot. But that is something I think the NFL will continue to track, continue to watch, and it feels like the NFL is going to be able to happen. Now, I did have on good authority from an inside source that the NFL has right of first refusal for all the hotels that they have down in Tampa Bay for an extra month after the currently scheduled Super Bowl that is taking place in Tampa Bay. Is that them potentially building in a buffer zone for a potential delay of the season, a suspension of the season, or anything like that? Yes. Does that mean they're expecting it? No. It just means that they're potentially having somebody in the building think about what could go wrong. Well, how do we fix this? How do we get off our Super Bowl? SOS.
Save our Super Bowl.
Bingo. So that is potentially what's going on, but it feels like normalcy in the world of sport is potentially going to unfold here as it already is starting to happen. Thursday night, MLB is back. You got Yankees, Nationals, Tony Fauci. It's going to be throwing out the opening pitch. Interesting, Tony Fauci is going to be throwing the opening pitch for a league start because it sounds like he was number one hater of sports coming back there for a little bit. But hey, if he throws gas, he throws mud, he leads off Yankees Nationals, which we will have a super boost on FanDuel for. Yeah. And I believe we'll be doing a watch along at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show for the entire game. We'll have a couple baseball guests come in and join us. It'll be just like the draft. Let's celebrate one of the major 4 sports leagues in our country coming back after COVID-19 came off the top rope. Thursday night, 7:30, youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. All the boys are here. At Nick Morado is here. At Tone Diggs is here. Ty Schmidt is here. Jason McAfee's here. Viva Lazito's here. Evan Foxy's here. And on the phones, 1-833-622-3331, Spaceman at Boston Connor.
Great day for space. Pat, are teams and GMs already looking at their squad and seeing who they can afford for next year if the cap goes down?
No, because nobody knows what the cap's going to go down to. So that's the biggest thing. If the cap goes down, there's no reason to even get, I guess they probably have some lower level person going, hey, because nobody knows how they're going to play this year either. So there might be a player that comes out of nowhere and has the best season yet, and that person is not somebody you can put on the chopping block. Once they learn how the money's going to be divvied up and the losses are going to be spread through the salary cap through the next couple of years, I think then you'll start seeing people look at it. Because there is a very common conversation that happens throughout every building in the NFL every offseason right before free agency starts. Who costs us the most and who can we afford to lose? And that is a cap casualty. It happens everywhere. And if the salary cap drops even more, who knows who it will be? Probably be some big name players that'll be on the move and taking very small deals, which wouldn't be accustomed to. Not different than this offseason, by the way. If you look at what Cam got, you look at Jameis got, and Andy Dalton even, he signed for $3 million, which is what, 3 times what Jameis and Cam Newton signed for, and that's still nowhere near what a lot of backup quarterbacks would make, especially if Andy Dalton's pedigree. Now, granted, he came from Cincinnati, which everybody sees as like a sunken place in the NFL.
Outdoor facility.
What's that?
What? Do they have an indoor facility?
No, indoor facility.
They don't?
But, I mean, that is just a very interesting situation. But it feels like the NFL is going to get back, which I am very pumped for. But the business negotiations are going to be something that we should pay attention to. And we have to remember that no matter what, no matter how ugly it gets, we will – I just FaceTime Rex Ryan. That's not good. Zito, should have got this before the show. That's on me. Should have sent it over to you. There he is. There's his number. We'll FaceTime Rex Ryan in 8 minutes. He's joining the show for the first time being live on YouTube with us. Yeah. But we have to remember, no matter how bad this gets, okay, no matter how ugly this gets, there will be an NFL season.
Hell yeah.
If Rob Manfred could figure it out, the NFL will be able to figure it out, and we have to have solace in that, no matter how ugly this thing gets. They already got 25 of the 32 iders done. Now it's time for business. There's no way the players will be able to back out of the buildings once being in a building for a labor dispute when it comes to money. The public perception will be terrible, especially in the time that we're in right now. They will figure it out. Let's just hope that happens.
Especially with what you talked to Andrew Brandt about, like, if they get the health and safety protocols done and they're in camp and then they try to pull everyone out of camp because the business side is not done, it is a bad look for
everybody. That is a very bad look. Just like the MLB, though, was a bad look in the middle. I think it had just been announced that 32 million people or something like that were on the unemployment list. And then the MLB was trying to divvy up, 40 million or something, or there was 4 million difference or something, some number like that. It looked terrible. But here we are. Nobody even talks about that anymore.
No.
Okay? So that is what we have to remember. It's going to get ugly. And when you're a daily show, by the way, you have to ride the wave of news that you have. That's why it's different than a podcast. That's why it's different than a once-a-week thing. You ride the wave daily with the stories. Dan Patrick told us about that. Whenever we interviewed Dan Patrick, obviously legend from the Dan Patrick Show with the Danettes, we talked to him about, how have you been able to do a daily show for so long? And he said he has to do it. Like, he loves the Daily Show because you kind of ride the stories. Like, you roll with the stories, where they go, and you find things and you learn things. And he said he loves the forum. And to be honest, I enjoy it a lot more than just doing podcasting. I enjoy the Daily Show. I enjoy riding the wave, knowing how things have got here. But what I am learning in this thing is what happened 3 weeks ago. Nobody even knows.
Nope.
Like the MLB and the MLBPA and how stupid Rob Manfred was and how everybody was saying there's no way this guy's still a commissioner. Still a commissioner. Going to be a commissioner probably for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Nobody's even talking about it anymore. That was 3 weeks ago. Who cares? Baseball's coming back Thursday. Yankees Nationals. Hey.
Yeah.
We got to remember that with the NFL. This is us learning from what happened earlier. The NFL and the NFLPA will be able to figure it out. 10 minutes after the hour, we got to get to a break. Joining us on the other side, legendary football name, legendary football brain, head coach of the Jets and Bills, former defensive coordinator for the Ravens, Super Bowl champ, TV legend Rex Ryan joins us for the first time live on this show. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I love Hawaii, man. Every time I go there, now granted, you make a Pro Bowl, you think you're going to Hawaii. Instead, we went to the desert in Arizona. And then the next time I made a Pro Bowl, it was in Orlando. I was like, I'm out. I mean, come on.
Were you the first group that they stopped doing Hawaii?
Yeah, I think it was like first or second group, of course. Of course. Worked my entire life to get there. I mean, it's an honor. It wasn't, though. I completely understand why guys don't go. It's like Tom Brady sitting out for another Pro Bowl. He's like, yeah, he doesn't want to drive 3 hours into the desert right now to go practice.
He go wherever he wants.
Yeah, and then the games, they need to make it just a bunch of competitions. They need to make it a bunch of contests, like the 40, everything like that. The bench, bring back the bench for the offensive linemen. Get an eating contest in there. Get the kickers to do a kicking contest. Get the punters to do a punting contest. Have that quarterback challenge that I watched on NFL Network just a couple months ago. Have that happen again for the long ball. You get Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes in there. You get Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers throwing maybe on an accuracy challenge. I like the little games that they set up for the quarterbacks. By the way, I would have went to the one in Orlando. I actually said I would go if they would have let me compete in the quarterback little carnival thing they had. And they told me no. And I was like, well, I'm not going.
Who makes that decision, the NFL?
Yeah, I got an actual letter that said no. And I was like, well, I retire and I'm not coming.
We regret to inform you that you are not allowed to participate in the quarterback
I think I would do well in that thing, by the way. I think I would do very well in it. Everything is like right in my range. Like the deep ball, I think, is like 40 yards. For me, that's that's my actual flick of the wrist. Like, you know how you watch those Dude Perfect videos?
Oh, yeah.
And it takes them, I don't know, who knows how many
thousands?
I mean, I'm not going to judge them. A lot of other people do. People say it takes them 4,000 attempts. But if you throw the ball as far as you can and it lands, then you just put a trash can there. You're like, all right, I'm just got to throw this as hard as I can again. And then it's like science is basically making you hit that.
Great way to do it.
In that particular quarterback carnival that they do, everything is right in my wheelhouse. Like, I was built for it. And I told Conte, the Colts PR guy, I had a dislocated kneecap at the time. I was supposed to get surgery. He was like, are you going to play in the Pro Bowl? Because I had like a $250,000 bonus on the Pro Bowl or not. I was like, I made the Pro Bowl. I should get my bonus. And he was like, well, technically in your contract, it says you have to play in the Pro Bowl. I'm like, am I allowed to do that quarterback challenge? They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Jim Irsay still paid me, by the way.
What a guy.
As he should. Good dude.
Yeah, as he should, by the way. No, I don't think he should. because the contract technically said, like, people say billionaires stay billionaires because they're stingy with their money. He could have not paid me. He chose to pay me. Good guy. That's why I think the Detroit Lions just hated Calvin Johnson. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show, Tuesday, July 21st. I am pumped for this. Joining us now, Super Bowl champion, football legend, Rex Ryan. Yeah! Hey, how are you, Rex?
I'm doing great, Pat. Man, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I can't wait to chat with you. Let's dive right into it. I see you got a Texas Rangers jersey on. You pumped for the MLB to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. My boy, Lance Lynn, takes the bump opening day for the Rangers. You know, that's my guy, man. 6'6", 280. Should be playing D tackle, but he's on the bump for the Rangers. Last year, 16 wins he had, 250 strikeouts. Go get him, big boy. The rest of the league is going to pitch like 3 or 4 innings. He'll go 8 his first time out.
How do you know this dude? Have you met this guy?
Yeah, I play golf with him all the time. I'm real good buddies with his dad. And, I've met Lance several times. He's a great young man. And it's funny because last year, I mean, he literally, he got in at all this spin BS stuff that they do now, but it worked, man. He released the ball about a foot further. And like I say, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. So he's 32 years old, kind of reinvented himself, and he's the ace of that staff right now.
Hey, Rex, everybody thinks you're just some meathead, dumb football guy. Listen to this.
Yeah. Pat, hold up. Let me just show you something real quick.
Please do.
You guys see all that? See all that?
Oh, I see it coming.
I want to tell you, dude, I miss my calling. Give me the Yankees, the Mets, Rangers, whoever. I'm available. I got the nice ESPN gig, but come on, man. Bench coach? I'm all about the bench coach. Yeah, I get it. I was a bad football coach. But, man, baseball, I'd be kicking butt.
Okay, let's talk about what you just said there. I love the obviously self-deprecating jokes there. But you are a great head coach. I think people forget about that because of how incredible your personality is. Sometimes charisma and personality can camouflage a lot of hard work and success. It happens with a lot of people. But whenever you were the head coach of the Jets, I mean, at the Colts, we were one of the greatest teams I've ever seen. I think the NFL's ever seen, and you guys gave us problems on numerous occasions, and that never gets talked about now, about how Rex Ryan, successful head coach. Now, I don't know what happened with Buffalo, but you're in the Patriots division, which we'll talk about soon. But you were a successful head coach. Are you ever going to get back into that? Do you ever have the itch to get back into head coaching?
Pat, I'm not sure. Like, I was 500 with the Bills, so I don't know if expectations were higher than that. Maybe they were because we had no draft picks or anything else, but long list of excuses. But,
hey, no excuses.
Doing a good job there now.
Hey, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not making any excuses. I mean, we didn't have any draft picks.
I appreciate it. You never say never. I'd jump at any opportunity. I'd go, get a startup team in Alaska if they paid me enough. But but quite honestly, I love doing what I'm doing, and we have a heck of a time on Mondays, doing that show, and then Sunday Countdown show, with my whole crew, with Sam and Hasselback, your boy Matt and Brewski, Randy Moss. We got too many Patriots there, but I love those guys.
You grew up obviously in a legendary football family, right? I mean, your dad, one of the greatest legends in the game's history, your brother's still coaching. You knew that you were going to be a football coach your entire life?
Yeah, I really did, Pat. I knew I wasn't worth a shit as a player, so I was like, I can't play, so I might as well coach. But nah, I love the game, and it was something I grew up around it, man. I was, my brother and I would be like, they gave us all the jobs that nobody else wanted. Like, we literally painted all the goalposts, painted the sleds, did everything. We're in the equipment room forever. And this is back when, it's probably illegal. We were probably like 10, 12 years old, and they'd pay us like, 50 cents an hour or whatever. But either way, we grew up around it. And I guess we're like, the same as anybody else in the business. You grow up, you idolize your father, and we basically joined the family business, which was coaching football. And I'm proud to say now I have a son that's coaching with the Chargers. He's in his 4th season with the Chargers. So really proud of that. And like I say, I can't do a whole hell of a lot in this world, but I think I was blessed with the ability to coach, and obviously, under my dad's guidance and all that gave me a heck of a head start.
Let's talk about your coaching style, because whenever you became the head coach of the Jets, I don't think everybody knew who you were, and you came in and it was, okay, we got a guy now in the NFL coaching ranks that is hilarious, has charisma, has confidence, and has completely flipped the entire narrative that you have to compliment the other team, you have to do this. And one of your biggest targets was obviously the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL, the Patriots. If you had to go back to the way that you kind of came in as a head coach for the Jets, would you do anything differently? And was there any rhyme or reason to why? Was that just you being you, or was there anything deeper than that in your mind?
No, probably a little deeper than that. I think when I went in there, first off, I was waiting for the opportunity. And it's just like it took me all those years to become a coordinator. They hired a receiver coach to be a coordinator instead of me. So it's like I knew how great I was, but nobody else did. But I just waited for my chance. And I knew if I had a chance that I was, and I figured I'd only get one shot. That, hey, I was going to go out and I was going to be me. And when I went to the Jets, all I kept hearing was the same old Jets, same old Jets. And I made dang sure. Look, my dad, one of these Super Bowl things back there is my dad.
Oh, yeah, Super Bowl things.
So he was there for, I think, 8 seasons or 9. I think 8 seasons there as a coach. His first year was Super Bowl 3. So, the Jets always were my team growing up. And I took a great deal of pride. I was fortunate. I had a couple opportunities to be a head coach, and I chose the Jets. And it was really a smart decision, because the first thing we did is we had to let Brett Favre go. I'm like, what? You never told me that. But because we couldn't afford him. And so when I went there, it's like we had no quarterback, man. And I was like, shoot, I got to let people know that, no, we're going to come in there. We're going to punch your lights out. Because I knew I had a great corner. That's one thing I knew, and I had watched him on tape. I had a tough-ass guy named Chris Jenkins, albeit he only played like 6 games for me, unfortunately, because imagine if that dude was healthy, it would have been ugly. But I knew I had a couple of pieces there, and I was going to bring in a couple more guys that knew what I wanted to do defensively. I thought we could fix that overnight. And so I was like, hey, guess what? We're coming in here and we're going to be more physical than you, and we're going to bloody your nose, and we're not going to apologize for it. So I knew what I had, and I love how everybody says, well, you're ground and pound. Yeah, you'd be ground and pound too if you never had a quarterback. Like, how else are they supposed to win? So, yeah, we were going to do it. But on defense, I thought we'd fix it, and we did. We went from 23rd in the league, the first in the league, that first season. So we did a great job. I had a great coaching staff, ridiculous coaching staff. And, when you have Bill Callahan as your offensive line coach, Mike Westhoff was there. And Pat,
teams.
This guy might be the greatest special team coach in the history. I certainly, maybe I'm biased, but that's how I feel about it. So I had his old butt with me. He was awesome. And I had a lot of great guys there. Brian Schottenheimer was there. And then I brought in Mike Pettin, Dennis Thurman, all my boys, and it was on. And so we certainly weren't afraid, but don't kid yourself. I knew what we were up against, and I wanted them to know that we weren't just going to lose by being intimidated by them, that you were going to have to beat us.
Okay, let's talk about that franchise that is still going, by the way. That man that you're referring to is Bill Belichick, and the AFC East has ran through Foxborough. Well, by the way, you guys, AFC Championship game a couple times, you kind of put a halt to it there for a little bit, but what I'm talking about is somehow, some way, Bill Belichick pulls a rabbit out of his hat at all times. Now, he's got Cam Newton for $1 million, and he was unemployed for 86 days. There was 31 other teams that could have signed him, Rex. Nobody did. Now Bill Belichick has a pissed-off Cam Newton. What are your thoughts on how that is all played out?
Well, my thought is, Pat, if this guy really is Cam Newton, if Cam Newton really is the same Cam Newton, here we go. Yeah. Right to it again. And my first thought initially was, this league can't be that stupid. There's no way.
Agreed.
So there has to be. I mean, these talk, doctors talk, all that. There's no way he's healthy. I mean, if he's healthy, it's absolutely ridiculous that no other team took him. And then Belichick's the smartest guy of all time because he gets this dude for $1 million. Like that, it's amazing. Now, let's not forget, though, Pat, they've done it to a lot of veterans in the past. I remember I was trying, and I get pissed because I tried to bring Ocho Cinco at the time. He's a hell of a lot better receiver when he was Chad Johnson. But Chad Johnson, Thomas, Tim Tebow, they brought all these guys in. And what'd they do? They cut every one of them. So could this be one way of, hey, we're going to show you how the team's bigger than the individual, we're going to cut this guy? I hope that's not the case. I hope they give Cam Newton a legitimate chance, and if he's healthy, he'll win that job, and he's going to win a ton of games.
I agree, and I think that at the way Cam Newton is, it just feels like he strives off of emotion. Like Cam Newton is an emotional guy if you watch him play. And by the way, a lot of people in the past have judged players and coaches that are like that. I'm an emotional guy. I'm a revenge guy. I'll put a chip on my shoulder. Cam Newton's the same way. It feels like he's potentially going to be his best, Rex, and that is just insane to think that. Yeah, I know. It is. He's motivated, highly motivated, and pissed off. It's not good. Let's pivot, though, and talk about the NFL. With what you're hearing, you've been in the NFL a long time. Your dad, obviously, since Super Bowl III, you've been in the NFL world. I've always had the thought that, especially now, if Rob Manfred, okay, your guy over in baseball commissioner who puts his foot in his mouth more than any other commissioner in the history of sports, if he's able to figure it out, in the NHL is able to figure it out, in the NBA, in the MLS, and you talk about this, in the NFL, if they somehow can't figure this whole thing out, they're going to look worse than ever. You think the NFL is going to figure this out, right? I mean, we're going to have an NFL season for sure.
Pat, they have to.
Yeah, I agree.
And like you say, if all these other sports, and we can call them what they are, minor league sports. It's all about the NFL, baby. You know that it's what it's all about.
Hell yeah.
They can't stand it. All those basketball players make $100 million a piece. I get it, dude. Congratulate yourself. But, man, nobody cares about those other sports. When you look at it, I'm the only guy that cares about baseball. You know what I mean? There's guys, and I get it. There's a lot of guys care about basketball. But let's face it. The NFL was up against the NBA. The NBA was in their championship, series. The NFL was in preseason, and the preseason outdrew the dang championship. So the NFL is so dang popular that this is the only sport that quite honestly, and it's not, because I love baseball. I can't wait.
Love it. You're wearing a jersey.
Start, obviously.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, the NFL has to play. If all these other ones can do it, and by the way, tip my hat to Dana White, because I love watching those fights. Once he get, go buy yourself a damn island or something like that and put him out there. But whatever they have to do. And look, the NFL players and the coaches and the owners and everybody else are really, they're going to have to make sacrifices. The NFL family, the wives, the children, they may have to make a lot of sacrifices. But at the same time, we need football. Our country needs football, and by gosh, get out there and play it. And we're all, we're behind you all the way, and we understand the sacrifices you're making and things. And but that's here. And to me, it's if they don't play, the only way the NFL can lose popularity if they somehow screw this up.
And if you're the coach of a team, and obviously distractions are rules number 1 through 10 in a locker room for a coach. Keep the distractions out of here. That's why you see Tim Tebow not get signed, because everybody knew that the distractions were going to come with him potentially. Colin Kaepernick didn't get signed for a long time because either they were told not to sign him or the distractions would come. There is a lot of players that have fell into the distraction department for why they don't get signed, because distractions, it's already hard enough to win a game in the NFL. Distractions are a problem. If you're coaching a team right now, it's only distractions at the moment. You're getting tested every single morning. You got to change your clothes upon arrival. Only a certain amount of people are allowed in a room. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. When you go home, you get, how do you handle that? Like, what's your message to the team day one? And even in these Zoom calls going into this thing?
Well, I think the great thing is your message ought to be that, hey, look, we got this figured out. Like, I would jump in, Pat, like, oh, dude, all the other teams are going to be screwed. We got it figured out, dude. I got it right here. Like, this is crazy. I'm done with the guys. I'm going to let them think. I'm going to sell that, oh, my God, we got the serial number of the unknown soldier. Dude, we got it all right here. And that's going to give us an edge. Like, we got them. And then fly by the dang seat of your pants if you have to. But you're going to sell it and sell it and sell it, because that's what it is. Like, and we're going to take care of you. We're going to let my team think that, oh, we got all the dang answers. The rest of them, I don't know about the rest of them, but we got the answers for them.
Rex, Pat's talked a bunch about how these veteran players are going to love playing no preseason games, but how are the head coaches going to feel about no preseason games, and how hard is it going to be like for a rookie head coach going into this season with no preseason games?
Yeah, I mean, rookie head coaches, because they never hired me, who gives a crap? But nah, you know what? You've got all this time. You've got it built up. You have time to get your teams prepared. Guys, we see it in the college football season forever. It was a convenient time. Back in the day when they had all these preseason games, that was to get the players in shape. Now these kids are working out all the time. It's not going to be as bad as you think. I do have a feeling, though, that, look, the players obviously don't want preseason games. And quite honestly, I don't think the owners really want preseason games. Also, I'm not so sure that next time they have that collective bargaining, are we going to go for an 18-game schedule and no preseason games with 2 byes? For some reason, that's what I think is getting ready to happen. So let's go ahead and do it. Look, I remember I was talking to
you got to hit
Dennis
the red
Thurman,
button. Rex, hit
my
the
good
red
buddy,
button. Rex, hit the red button on your phone. Rex, hit the red button.
Well, got it. You good there?
Yeah. Got you.
You know me. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. I got you.
But DT told me, he's like, look, man, they were in the strike. I believe it was 92. That was the year they played 2 games, 2 regular season games. They go on strike for 2.5 months, come right back in. Here we go. And so, it could be done. And I think there's going to have, obviously there's going to be more players on a roster and things. So I think it's just going to be good. But, maybe we're not going to be as sharp initially when the season starts, but they'll work into it. And I just think what you have to sell your players is, like, we can't just put a day in. You got to get some work in. And look, they're going to have scrimmages against each other. That's the only way to get it done. If you don't tackle anybody going into that first game, it's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to have scrimmages that's just going to be against yourselves.
Let's talk about the veteran quarterbacks who I think are definitely favored in this situation, right? Because they've organized workouts, they potentially text message call. They've been there, done that with not only being a professional, but guiding others around them. Tom Brady goes down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with BA, okay? And they have all those weapons, but it's a new offense for Tom. It's new verbiage for everything. Do you think he's going to struggle at all down there? Or do you think, bang, we're back, Tom Brady's Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a good spot?
Well, Pat, you bring up a great point. I don't think it's going to be necessarily BA's offense. I think it's going to be Tom Brady's offense. So to me, I think they're going to have that marriage, and I'm sure they already have it to where it comes in. Oh, Tom called it this. Oh, guess what, guys? We're going to call it this. That's the critical point, and that's what you do. I remember we did that. Brian Billick, we brought in Steve McNair. we were kind of struggling. Jim Fossil was our offensive coordinator, and we were trying to run that offense. And then Billick couldn't stand it any longer, fired him, brought Steve in, and I think we set a record for most first downs in a half one time against New Orleans. We spanked them, but it was like, oh, hey, this works. When we had Steve McNair's offense, it works pretty good. So to me, I think that's what we're going to see in Tampa. And man, with those receivers, it's going to be fun to watch.
How's Bowles' defense? Because last year at the beginning of the season, they stunk. Then by the end, they turned it around completely. Do you expect more of that, especially because it's a veteran defensive coordinator?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that Todd Bowles is there. And Todd's actually a real coach. Like some of these guys, they come in, I'm like, who the hell is that guy? It's like, what? Oh, he coached 1 year. Good luck. Where Todd Bowles is legit. I mean, this is a former head coach, an outstanding coordinator, and I like him. He's a good guy, and he gets after it. So to me, it took a little time, and it went. Steve Spagnuolo, boy, they couldn't stop a nosebleed early in the year, but time came on, and they got better and better as the season went on. So some of the veteran coordinators, eventually they're going to catch their stride. If the young guys are terrible to start with, they're going to remain terrible. That's what we saw last year. So I think, and I always get, it's a new league. Man, it's still 11-on-11 football. I don't need to hear that garbage. The fact that you don't know how to attack protections, you don't know how to be multiple in coverage, that's your own damn fault. But the guys like Todd Bowles, people like that, they get it. And so to me, it's, I expect that team to really be a threat in that NFC.
Okay, they got obviously the Saints to deal with. Last question before we let you go, and I can't thank you enough. You're not going to have one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of the NFL on and not ask about, do you expect Lamar Jackson to have the same amount of success next year as he had last year? Now, remember, the Wildcat came to Miami, and it was this new thing. The Wildcat was going to take over the NFL, and then it disappeared, completely disappeared. Then, obviously, Michael Vick had his run of just being Michael Vick. He's a completely different specimen. It's Michael Vick. Lamar Jackson, though, feels like he's a guy who has the athleticism and the ability to pass the ball, and the Baltimore Ravens organization has gone all in with him. 3 tight end sets. We have all these blockers. We have 10 people blocking one runner. Do you think Lamar Jackson has the same amount of success he had last year, more, or do you think defensive coordinators who get paid a lot of money are going to be able to figure it out?
I don't think you have the coordinators that you used to have. And so, to me, all those offenses, I used to love going against them. Like you mentioned them, it's like, whatever. Who cares, man? Because most of the guys, you had that experience going against. All it is option football, and it's the same thing that you've stopped for 100 years. At least that's the way you used to be brought up in the game. I coached 8 years of college football before I ever got in the NFL. So you see all those offenses. It was interesting. Dean Pease talked about, he used to be at Navy, and he ran some of that Navy defense in that playoff game against Lamar Jackson. Now, when you really look at it, and he did a good job there, but Lamar Jackson accounted for 500 yards in that game, combined rushing and passing. So I don't think he stoned them. So I think Lamar Jackson, to answer your question, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a heck of a year. And, just understand that the one thing you can't defend is a quarterback who's athletic like that. Half of his yards are from improvising. Some are design runs and all that. I get it, but there's other ones when he just takes it and you know what? I'm going to make 3 guys miss. He is such a special talent, and I'm glad I don't have to stop that dude.
Yeah, you keep talking about him on ESPN in beautiful fashion. And I said that was going to be the last question, but a guy just signed for $500 million. And he has Andy Reid drawing up plays. How do you stop the Kansas City Chiefs? They have weapons on top of weapons with speed on top of speed and an offensive line that can go man-to-man if it has to be. That feels like an offense that might get going here for the next 5 to 10 years of being unstoppable.
Yeah, those are ones, if I'm the coordinator that week, I'm faking it. I don't care. Hey, I'm sick. I got the flu. And it's not funny to say, so I won't say the obvious. I'm coughing. Yeah. But whatever it takes, dude, I ain't coaching that game. You know what? Hey, Mike Pettin, you got this game. I'm gonna let you have this game. And we'd be fist fight. He don't want to stop him either. But no, seriously, he's such a talent, man.
So good.
He's making $1 billion and he's underpaid. But you're right that the offense itself is a really good offense. Yet that dude at quarterback, Pat Mahomes, the most special, gifted quarterback I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them come through. And then you mentioned, like, look at the receivers. You got one of the best tight ends in the game, Travis Kelce. Sammy Watkins, a throw-in. They ain't talking about him.
A throw-away for people.
He's a throw-in. I'm like, really? They gave up 100 picks when I got the Buffalo Force. So to me, it's like, then what they do? Well, we don't really have a running back. Oh, they drafted that kid from LSU. Now it's like, we can't cover him either. So to me, it is such a great offense to watch, and it's fun as heck. But I think the only way you could really stop it is you've got to mix it all, man. You've got to challenge them. You got to challenge them mentally. You got to challenge the protection. Challenge this offensive line. You got to challenge those receivers to make side adjustments. You got to do all those type of things, and you can't give free access to them. And I think you challenge them. One team that I think will challenge them would be Baltimore. But we've seen them get beat a couple of times by Kansas City. But I know they'll challenge them. Belichick has had success against it because he takes away, some of the RPO stuff and things, and has some guys that can match up. So, it's going to be tough, though, man. There's so many options that this football team has. San Francisco was doing a great job in the Super Bowl. And then they make the mistake of putting Richard Sherman out there, man coverage against Sammy Watkins. And Richard's one of the greatest guys of all time, one of the greatest DBs ever, when he's playing on top man. But if you put him in a man-to-man situation, like Darrelle Revis has told him ever for 20 years or 10 years now, it's a different game. And he just got outrun. But sometimes you can't help yourself. You're trying to mix it. I thought they did a decent job. But at the end of the day, they saw the matchup they wanted, and then boom, they exploited it. So to me, it's such a challenge against that football team.
Darrelle Revis, greatest corner of all time, but he and Sherman, two very different types of corners, so hard to judge.
Yeah, I love Richard Sherman, I do. But if you're talking about a straight man cover guy that can go in the slot, play right, left, do all that type of stuff, there's no. Darrelle Revis might have had the greatest year I've ever seen in the history of the game at corner. And let's, by the way, don't forget Deion Sanders. Oh. He wasn't all bad either. And I had the pleasure of coaching. He could play. I had him when he was 37 years old, and he still could play. So there's been some great ones, but I think for one season, if you had to say who had the greatest season ever as a corner, I'll still take Darrelle Revis, my first year with the Jets. Or my second year with the Jets.
Well, if you ever get back into head coach, and I'll go kick some balls again, too. I'd love to play for a team that you coach. You are hilarious, electric, and a wealth of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, from ESPN, Super Bowl champ, one of those Super Bowl things behind him, Rex Ryan.
Yeah, Rex!
Thank you, Rex. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, my pleasure, Pat. We'll see you, buddy.
Hey, congrats on learning FaceTime.
Yeah, that's right.
Big day. I had to teach him that yesterday. He is a legend. We got to get to a break. We'll react to everything he just talked about right there and wrap up hour 2 here on this Tuesday, July 21st. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I love Rex Ryan.
Oh,
I love that
so
man.
good.
I love that man.
Lakers, welcome to the Blender, the home of a team and a fan base on a playoff push the likes the world has never seen before. Crescent City, get on your feet for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sprite, an incredibly refreshing drink. Starting at forward was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Now he's an NBA All-Star, Brandon Ingram. At forward, this man has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable, 6'6" phenom, Zion Williamson. At center, standing at 8 feet tall, from Georgia Tech, number 22, Derek Favors. This man's family had a reality show in Lithuania. He was born and raised in LA, but he found his J in Vienna. Lonzo Ball. And the OG of the roster. On the court, he's a monster. Braids hanging, shots banging. It's not Drew, it's Drew Holiday. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. Go Pelicans. Tired of me right now. That's how you play basketball. This will be a 5-bowler from the Red Panda. Up we go. Yes! 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 Red Panda! What a legendary moment. You're a legend. It's an honor. Right, so mission accomplished, right? Come down, intro some players, throw some bowls to Red Panda, fly back to Indianapolis. Success story, Foxy. What a fucking night.
Go ahead, Zeke.
Small businesses have unique needs, and despite what happened,
Sounds like you're just getting ready to fight that.
I know there's a lot of periods and commas.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not used to those.
Yeah, those are not to pause or anything. That's actually to fire you up, so you
Fire
read
me
it a
up.
little bit stronger.
Fire the storm.
Hey, good luck out there. I'm proud of you.
You got it. Thank you.
Hey, you're going to war right now against that ad.
War.
Let's go ahead and win that battle.
And despite the current uncertainty, one thing that remains unchanged is the importance of having the right people on your team. When your business is ready to make the next hire, LinkedIn Jobs can help you by matching your role with qualified candidates so you can find the right person quickly. Please explore LinkedIn platform. LinkedIn is an active community of professionals with more than 690 million members worldwide. Wide. LinkedIn Job screens candidates with the hard and soft skills you're looking for. It usually says what are soft skills, but
those are things like collaboration and creativity and things of that nature.
That's just in. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I got you. Teamwork this thing.
And put
Which, by the way, the ability to work alongside a team, those are the soft skills well that are researched at LinkedIn, which is great.
I love soft skills, Pat.
Yeah.
And that's how LinkedIn Jobs can help you hire the right person faster. I'm going to call the action real quick.
Please do.
When your business is ready to make... Oh, geez. There was not a period there.
It's all right, dude. And it's also not business, too. You're all right, bro. Just power through. You're doing good.
I just want some BBQ so bad right now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Little keto?
I wish. When your business is ready to make the next hire, find the right person with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want and get the first $50 off. Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions may apply.
Attaboy, Zio! We thought it had you early rounds. Maybe you lost, but you closed it in strong. And the judges said, and still, ad read champion Jose Zito Diggs, what's going on, bub?
Can I tell you about the story of the week?
Absolutely.
More specifically, the Granger story of the week.
Oh, nice.
As you get back to business, Granger is there to help with supplies and solutions for every industry, safety, recovery guides, 24/7 support, and more. Visit Granger.com/recovery.
Okay, let's hear. What is the Granger story of the week?
Bud Light said that they will buy everyone in Denver a beer to celebrate if Brandon McManus breaks the field goal record for the longest field goal record.
Oh, I did see this. Brandon McManus, I believe he was on either Good Morning Football or another NFL network, another NFL-owned channel or something like that. And they talked about how if Brandon McManus breaks the current record of 64 yards in Denver, that everybody 21 years of age and older will get a free beer from your friends at Bud Light. Now, listen, there's a couple things I like. Long field goals, and I like free beer. So here's two things put into one story that I absolutely love. And Brandon McManus, good friend of mine, the guy actually lived in my house for a little bit whenever he was with the Indianapolis Colts. Brandon McManus, I am also not scared to say, first person that I have ever stepped on the field with, and I said, you know what? That guy's leg can probably keep up with mine. McManus has a massive leg. Andy's in Denver, so their recipe is there for him to potentially break the record. And he has Tom McMahon as a special teams coordinator who does have the gut sack to tell the coach to send him out there for a potential 65-yard dong shot for the brand at Mile High. Whenever this was announced, though, there's a man who has a touchdown pass in Lambeau Field. There's a man who is a legend off the field. There is a man who is 5'10". He doesn't have like a Greek god build, but for whatever reason, whenever he goes on the field for the long ball, it is expected to be going through, and he is the man who currently holds the NFL's longest field goal record at 64 yards, and that's Matt Prater of the Detroit Lions. And he said, excuse me, Bud Light, I heard what we're trying to do over there in Denver with the free Bud Lights for everybody, and I like that Denver, which is a town that smokes a awesome amount of marijuana, and they would definitely love a free beer. But what happens to this city? What happens to the Motor City? What happens to Detroit Rock City? Yep. What happens to the city that might be getting CPR in it because the Ford Bronco is back? What happens to the people of Detroit when I break my own record of 64 yards? And Bud Light, by the way, has yet to answer. Answer our guy, Matty Prater. Does Bud Light hate Detroit? Do they hate Matt Prater? Or are they just acting as if this deal is only with McManus? Because I would like to say this for the brand Bud Light. I think every single kicker who is in the National Football League will be in the National Football League. If they hit a 65-yard field goal, it should be worth 4 points, first of all. That's a conversation I'll have with Commissioner Goodell at some point. But I think they would absolutely love the thought of you dumping beer on the entire city in celebration, because that's what punters and kickers are, by the way. They're people pleasers. They're beer drinkers. They're have a good time. When we come on the field, let's celebrate. And if they hit from 65, Bud Light, you should buy everybody maybe in the country a free beer who's 21 years of age, not just in Denver, not just in Detroit, but how about everybody in the country for getting a chance to witness an absolute cannon from a man wearing next to no pads and looks a lot smaller and less athletic than everybody else on the field, but absolutely bombing balls for 3 points.
Hell yeah.
That's a great idea. What about if they let, like, Prater just drive around the city in, like, a stone cold beer truck, and he's just like,
got the hose.
Yeah, he's got the hose, and he's just spraying everybody.
And by the way, not a bad time for Coors Light to potentially come in and say, hey,
True.
listen, Prater.
Rockies.
Yeah, exactly.
Hop on
Bud
the
Light's
train.
coming into Denver, by the way, and doing this. So if I'm Coors Light, you know what I mean, from Golden, Colorado, I'm taking the mountains, the Silver Bullet. I'm going right over to Detroit Rock City and saying, listen, Prater, you were once a Bronco. Now that you're a Lion, if you break your own record, we'll give you the same beer truck with the hose, and you can just spray it at every human in Detroit if you want. And they'll take it down like Foxy's dad, like a beer bomb.
If I know the city of Detroit, they don't care what beer it is as long as it's beer.
Hey, free beer's free beer. And if my guy's hitting a 65-yard field goal, I will chug that thing right to the head, which
sir.
is what it's all about.
And we're going to need that 65-yard field goal when we're on our playoff run, baby.
10-6, Foxy.
Hey,
10-6 playoff
how about
win.
this also, Coors Light? If the Lions make the playoffs, free beer for everybody in Detroit.
Or the
world.
that.
What's more likely, a 65-yard field goal by Prater or the Lions making the playoffs next year? 65-yard field goal by Prater. Final answer. Let's get some beer for the people of Detroit and a little bit of happiness if they do make the playoffs. From all of us to all of you on this Tuesday, July 21st, from Andrew Brandt and Rex Ryan, we can't thank you enough for watching and listening. This has been the Pat McAfee Show. We're back. Manana.